Hello, everyone. This is Unlocking Greatness Podcast with Zenja Glass. Feel free to call me Z. I want to talk today about something that God really gave to me this morning. The title is going to be called Damaged. And it's a pretty heavy topic for me because God just put so strongly in my spirit. There's so many people who feel that He can't use them because they're so damaged. And that's actually not the case at all. And I got the idea from this when this morning I was getting ready. And I thought about a class that my sister and I went to just a couple weeks after my son died. And it was some sort of a company that makes these, it's like a wood making class. So you go in and they give you this fresh piece of wood, right? Then you have to distress it and get the wood all situated and what have you and paint it, and you end up with this beautiful piece. And I'm actually going to show you all. That is, if you're watching the YouTube video, you're going to actually be able to see the pieces that I did. But I want to go somewhere with this. And I'm trying to hold back the tears because I'm feeling this so heavily in my spirit. I remember when the lady first gave me my board, and I have it here. It's going to be kind of hard to see because my camera lens, but if you can see, this is the board. When she first gave me the board, it had this huge plug in the middle. It had a huge mark, and I don't know if you can see that. And that whole piece literally comes out if you hit on it hard enough. And I was in the class, and I kind of put my hand up, and I says, "Wait a minute." I said, "You gave me a board that's blemished. It's got a marking on it." And I said, and it's got this huge hole in it. And I was a little bothered because I was like, man, I'm paying this money for this class. I want a fresh, nice, clean piece of board. And she walked over to me, and I'll never forget this. Keep in mind, this was just a few weeks after my son had passed away. I think that's why I'm getting so emotional about it. And she said to me, "You have a beautiful piece of wood." She says, "The damage that you see in the wood, those are the most beautiful pieces you can have." And first I thought, okay, is she just trying to sell me on getting this damaged board? Because I looked around and, a couple of the boards did have markings and thing on it, but mine had this big, huge hole in it, that you can kind of push out with your hand. And she said, "No," she says, that's character. She says, your board I actually gave you. She literally gave me the one she liked the most. She said, that's character. And when you're finished with your piece, it's going to be so beautiful. And then what I did know is the next step to this class is, and I'm not promoting, it's funny because it sounds like I'm promoting the company and they don't even know I'm doing this. But the next step in that class is, I thought that we were... Lord, give me the strength to do this. I'm sorry, you all. I'm thinking through how heavy-hearted that was at the moment, which was just a few months ago. What was amazing is I thought that we would go from just that board to just painting it and making it beautiful. And she says, "No. What you want to do now is you want to distress it some more." She says, "If you want," and she started giving out nails to people and screws and hammers and just all kinds of things. And she says, you can just distress it as much as you want. And I said, "Well, why do we want to do that?" And she said, "Z, it's the markings that make it so beautiful when it's all done." She said, "It's the markings that makes it so beautiful." And I immediately just started crying in the class. And of course, other than my sister, no one else kind of knew why I was, tearing up. And so she said, "You can just mark it up as much as you want." And so I got nails and screws and just started kind of beating all over the board. And I mean, people were beating all on their boards and doing things. And I'm going somewhere with this, you guys. Don't think I've, gone off the deep end. I'm going somewhere with this. When it was time to start, staining the wood, Everyone had a few markings on their board and what have you. And the more I was beating that board and marking it, I got to a point where I got a hammer, and I'll show you guys in a minute. It's kind of hard to talk and show you at the same time. But I got a hammer where I was literally digging into the board, like just beating it and beating it. And she's like, the more that you do this, the more beautiful it becomes. So at this point, everyone had taken off their earplugs. We had been beating the board for like 5 minutes or so. And people are starting to pick out their stain so they can stain their wood. And I just kept beating the board because I've been through so much. And it was almost like a release for me. The more I was beating the board, the more I was, especially once she empowered me. I felt she empowered me by what she said to me, by saying that, no, the distressed wood is a beautiful thing to look at. And so I know I got on people's nerves in that room, because at the point when everyone started staining their board, and I thought I was done, and I was getting ready to start picking out my stain and what I wanted, I just started thinking through all of the stuff. And you guys know me by now. We've done close to 90 or so episodes by this point. So when I see all of the stuff, you know what I mean. And I'm sure you all can identify as well. And I really am going someplace with this, because I'm praying that this encourages you all who've been through so much. So everyone else is starting to stain their wood, and I was getting ready to start on mine, and I just couldn't. I just said, if I'm going to have this piece and it's going to be hanging, whether in my home or at work, I truly want it to reflect what I'm feeling inside. And I asked her, can I put my earplugs or whatever you call those things back in my ear so I can distress the wood some more? And she was like, sure. So keep in mind, the room's quiet at this point. Everyone's doing their thing. And I apologized to everybody in the room. I said, you guys, I'm sorry, but I'm not done distressing my wood. I think at that point, people in the room kind of figured out, okay, this lady must be going through something. Let her do her thing. And I put those earplugs in, and I hit away. I hit the corners. I hit the side. I got something that, I don't know, looked like a huge hammer with a grid on the end. I started beating the corners, and I got nails, and I got screws, and I was just beating the wood all over. And the more that I was beating it, the more I was realizing that, first of all, God has pulled me through so much. Secondly, he's going to use me for his good use. And so it was such a release. I just can't explain it. And then when I was done, we stained the wood. And at that point, I think I wrote on mine, be still and know. And that's from the passage, Psalm 46:10, that talks about be still and know that I am God. And I just want to show you all, and I know I'm not able to show the whole thing on here, the finished piece in terms of what I ended up doing. Hopefully you can see that. You can see the distress wood. And if you look really closely, I'll try to zoom in some more, if you can see that. Look at how hard I beat that wood and what I did with hammers and nails and all of that. I mean, look at I'm kind of messing up my mic now, but even if you look at the corners, I mean, everything is just beat in so badly, but it all looks so beautiful when it's done. And here's what's funny. So midway through, as I'm doing all of this, and I'm starting to stain the wood, and I even put a little bird on mine and did some little extra things. I had the audacity to ask the lady, hang on a second, let me move this over. Sorry about the noise. I said, can I get another piece of wood? Because I want to do a second one. And I know the people in the room was probably like, what is this woman going through? I got to hear all this sound again. Yes, you do have to hear all this loud sound again. So I got another board, and I did the same thing again. You see that? I think this one says do the impossible or something. I got another board, and I just started beating and beating and beating on it. You see that? I'll get up a little closer. And because she empowered me to know that all of these markings were not in vain, God, please give it to me. Please, God, speak through me. Because she empowered me to know that every marking that I put on there was not in vain. And that in the end, if I just trust her,
if I just trust her, that when it was all said and done, it was going to be beautiful. Because at the time, it didn't look this pretty. You're looking at a pretty board right now. Oh, I forget. For those who are just simply listening to the podcast, I'm holding up the 2 boards that I did, and they're absolutely beautiful. But I had to trust her, because through the making of this, the board looked so damaged. It looked so bad. And she just kept telling me, just trust, when it's all said and done, it's going to be a beautiful piece. And as you all can see, when I finished it, it was just absolutely beautiful. And I stained it, and then I picked out my little designs and put on it. I'm thinking about, this is such a good plug for this company. I just thought about this, but hopefully they'll be appreciative. And no one told me to do this, by the way. I'm just sharing from my heart. But anyway, it was such a beautiful, beautiful piece. When I was done, I was just so beyond happy that from something so damaged, such a beautiful piece could be made. And you all probably have figured out where I'm going with this by now. It makes me think of my life. And I pray that I'm encouraging you all that nothing that you've been through will be wasted. None of it. And we have to trust that God has a plan through it all. There is no way in the world I would be on this podcast speaking into this camera and talking to you all without going through the things I've gone through and then allowing God to make something so beautiful from this. The only reason I get to do this, or I even want to do this, is because of what I went through and the beauty that God brings from all the pain. I know some of you guys are hurting so bad. I've read many of the comments, and I know a lot of what you all are going through, because you guys have been messaging me. You've been, and many of you have joined my text community. By the way, I'm so grateful for that. And every message that comes through, I see it, by the way. And I see your stories, and I feel your pain. And I just want you to know that none of it is going to be wasted. None of it. Some of you are going to be writing books. Some of you are going to be teaching classes or creating products or whatever it is. None of it is going to be wasted. None of it. Someone had asked me a while ago, they said, Z, why do we go through such hard things? If God loves us so much, why would he allow us to suffer? And I thought about that, and I says, well, I thought to myself, he could have built us as robots. That would have been really easy. But God gave us something called free will, free choices. And unfortunately, as a result of the free choices, there are some people that have chose to use their free will and their choices to cause harm to others. That's just a fact. But he loves us, and his plan still prevails. There's one passage I just want to read, and I want to get off of this. I'll move on and end this. I can't believe I'm sitting here crying over 2 pieces of wood, but hopefully what I share with you all made sense, that it just touched me so much to know that the more markings and things on that, the more beautiful it was. But in James 1, and this is just a short passage, in verse 2, it says, consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Perseverance has to finish its work. So if you are anything like me and you feel that you've been damaged in some ways by life and things that's happened to you, I just want you to know beauty can come from that if we allow God to do the finishing in our life, to get us to a point where we can then use that for the good of his kingdom and for the good of helping other people, just as I'm doing my very best to do now. I have so many people that ask me, how is it that you're doing this so soon after your son died? You don't feel like you have to do this. You know, you can have time off for yourself if you want. Don't feel you have to do this. And every time I read a message like that, I think to myself, they don't really get it. They don't really get it. This is healing. This is good for me. You guys are just benefiting from the mess I deal with, and some kind of way, by the grace of God, me sharing my mess, some kind of way is encouraging other people. So I'm not doing this for accolades. I'm not doing this for subscribers. I'm not doing this, because I've got some grand plan, He's using it.
There's so many people in the Bible. I did a podcast a long time ago. I think it's called God Uses Messed Up People. So I won't go into it, because if you can go back, you can listen to that podcast. But it's one of my favorite ones, because I talk about Moses and Abraham and David and all the quote unquote greats in the Bible, that we look up to. And I just kind of dissected their lives a little bit, showing you how truly messed up they really were and all the mess they did. All kind of mess they did. All kinds of markings. And how God turned around and made such a beautiful piece. So anyway, if you consider yourself damaged, I just want to encourage you to realize, though you may be damaged in many ways, you are a beautiful piece in the eyes of God. And He's ready to use you. And He's ready to display a beautiful, beautiful you, the best version that you can possibly be to the world, to then go around and inspire and help others in some way or another. So yeah, we may be damaged. We've been through a lot. I'm still going through a lot. I'm going through some things you guys don't even know about. I'm going through a lot. But I know with certainty that God is producing a beautiful piece in me. And I know that He's using my pain and everything I've been through to help others in some way or another. So I just hope that this made sense. I can't believe it, the way it came to me this morning when I literally was thinking about that class I went to with my sister. And literally I just started crying, because I just started thinking through, my gosh, I thought that lady messed up when she gave me that damaged wood. And I thought I was creating an ugly piece by putting all those markings on it. And I had no idea. To be honest, when we were done, I feel my piece was one of the most beautiful pieces in the entire room because of all the markings. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. This was heavy. Love you all. This is Z with Unlocking Greatness Podcast. This podcast is called Damaged. One last thing I just want to say, my text community number is 847-648-9118. Join my text community so I can stay in touch with you all. I love you. I love you. I love you. I pray that this helped. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening. This is Z with Unlocking Greatness Podcast. Please don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the notification button. Love you all. Bye-bye.